So say you're working on a multi-adapter Wi-Fi rig, and you get one of these cheap adapters off AliExpress. These are MT5572s, I think. I got like 20 or 30 of these a long time ago. They've been sitting there, and I decided to use it. Now these are super cheap. They're about $9 to $10 a pop, so they're way cheaper than any legitimate Wi-Fi adapter, and they kind of work. You just have to look for it. The vendor that I bought them for is gone. Is gone, which is typical. They just kind of release something and then it just kind of disappear and pop up under a different name. But they're super sketchy. As far as the adapter goes, they work fine. They do, what I need to get done, they do fine. But if you flip on the inside, this is all hot glued. Right, and it's kind of dusty because it's been an old adapter that I have been sitting around here. And it was in the Centipede and the Hack in the Box. But, alright, so, well, you want to repurpose this, right? Or can you repurpose these? Well, actually, this is all hot glue. So, well, how do you get rid of that? And then maybe we can use it for something else, right? Now, if you think hot glue and you're like, well, you can warm it up and kind of pry it off and whatnot, that will work, but it gets really messy, and there's a way more simpler way to do this, which is if you take off this nut and okay, or if you don't have one of these, you should really get one of these. These are engineer pliers. They have that round tip so you can grab a screw or a nut from the head. So alright, so we'll take off these. Right, and just throw it over there for now. And the reason why I'm not doing this on my desk is because I need this view lamp. And now, and here comes the interesting thing. So instead of using another heat gun and trying to melt away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some rubbing alcohol. And, just regular rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle, and you just kind of soak the whole thing. It seems really, you just want to make sure that you get it into every little crease. It's fine, it's just rubbing alcohol, so eventually it will just kind of evaporate. Now here's the tricky part. There's no way of clearly putting it out, because if you can see clearly, that bar is going to get in the way of that thing. I don't know how they did it. They probably popped this in and then put the cable in, and that's why it works. So what we're going to do is grab a pair of nippers. I'm just going to cut it. I mean, it's $9. It's $9 is $9. I understand that for some guys starting out, that might hurt. But if you have spent a fortune on alpha cards, I mean, you can buy like what, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these cards. I guess if you have the shipping, then maybe 3, but for one decent alpha card. But so you cut it off. But I found out that the Chinese AliExpress sellers really like this method of construction for cheap electronic Wi-Fi adapters and Bluetooth and other radios. Rather than screwing everything down, they tend to like to use hot glue, which is fine. It works. It just doesn't look nice once you open up the adapter. So okay, so let's see. It's kind of hard to do across this lens, but all right. Which is actually a good time, because now the rubbing alcohol is soaking in, right? So the antenna part pops off. All right, cool. This motherboard or board is also glued down. So here, I'll show you how sketchy that might be. So there might be parts that are kind of hard to get to. You just kind of make sure. It doesn't have to soak in it. You don't have to like soak in it for a long time. It just has to get to these little crannies, nooks and crannies. Then yeah, see, it kind of just pops off. So that's the connector board. Look, they don't like, the coloring is like all like they just use whatever wire they have. This is almost as bad as my construction sometimes. So here, and then that just right comes off. See, and that's all I want. I want the chip, which is the MT5572, which is okay. It's an RT 2800 USB driver card, so that feels a little bit still. So now here, how do you get rid of all this other hot glue, right? Well, same thing. You use here. They even they use some kind of weird foam to give it the insulation. That's all they do. It's just like, this is some MacGyver shit, man. So what you do is you just keep soaking it in, and then you can actually. So what the rubbing alcohol does, it actually breaks apart the hot glue, right? So what you do is, here's where you want to be careful, because these wires are razor thin, right? So you just kind of give it a opening, and then you grab the spray and you just kind of spray some more in it, and then just kind of just peels off. So okay, once you get there, just give it a little bit more. Yeah, just go heavy on the rubbing alcohol and you should be fine. See, it just kind of pops right off, and then this foam part comes right off too. The rest you can just clean up, but see. And then here for the antenna parts, it's the same kind of thing. It actually is already kind of breaking apart, but you just kind of have to figure out. Now you might want to use a pair of nippers to get the initial cut. Don't cut the wire though. I mean, you could. I mean, it's just an antenna cable, but there really is no reason why you would want to, because so that thing is still a little bit stuck. And then there we go. So I'm gonna aim it in there. Okay. Okay, so let's get some more in there. You know, this method has an added benefit of it will kill coronavirus on the chip and on your fingertips. So because of the rubbing alcohol, it just kind of falls apart. There you go, all cleared. And now you can plug this in and build your own kind of adapter. Hint, hint.